trauma is these life-threatening experiences that we go through. Trauma is painful, but it's not a life sentence. It's something that you can come out from. Our military people, the police.
However it happened, it was not your mistake.
Yeah, now the healing is totally your responsibility.
Yes. Welcome once again. And I want you to walk us through this journey. So you will start by defining to us hii trauma. Tukisemanga trauma, niko traumatized because these are the terms tunazisikia kila siku. But pengine tunazisikia ndio hatuelewi zinamaanisha nini. So nataka utufahamishe leo mtu akisema niko na trauma ama ule mtu ako traumatized anamaanisha?
Ni kitu watu wengi wanapitia. So, trauma is these life-threatening things, experiences that we go through that are so significant. They affect us psychologically, that is kimawazo. They affect us emotionally. They affect us physically. And these are things that can happen at one time or happen continuously. So it could be one thing that happens, mtu anapitia kitu kimoja kizito sana, kinamtingiza kwa maisha, and then but it could also be something that you go through so many times. But then your brain interprets it as something tragic, something heavy. Because Jeffries, it's not, all of us are not affected by the things that happen in our lives the same way. One thing will happen, but the way it will hit us will be different. To someone, it will be traumatizing. To someone else, it will not be. Now, not everything people call trauma is also trauma. Trauma is that thing that really hits you and stays with you. It has that long-term effect. And most of us, like you said, have gone through at least one thing that leaves us with that traumatic experience.
Maybe if you can tell us, are there different types of trauma?
Okay. There are different types of trauma, and you can categorize them depending on the intensity and the time. The length of time something has happened. There are several. I'll mention a few. So there is like the acute trauma. Acute trauma is that trauma that is caused by one thing, a one-time event. Something happens, like an earthquake happens. It's a one-thing time effect, but it causes trauma. Someone is abused, and it's a one-time effect. It causes that trauma. So it could be just one event in life, but then causing trauma. And then there is chronic trauma. Chronic trauma is repeated events, things that have been happening again and again. Like a child, for example, who has gone through an abusive home. Say a child has had sexual abuse for some time. A wife has been beaten, or a spouse, let me say a spouse because siku hizi tunapigana pande zote. Women are beaten, wanaume pia wanapigwa. So a spouse who has gone through such for a very long time can be traumatized. Those things that happen in a prolonged time. Then there is the complex. The complex is like a mixture of acute, a mixture of chronic, so many things happening, mostly things that we carry from childhood, things that have been going on in your life, and they're very complex. Even the nature of the effect is very complex. Now there is also like developmental trauma that happens to a child when a child is growing up. Like, for example, a child can have a parent who is abusive in terms of physical abuse, a nanny. Have you seen, you remember the time we had this video going round of nannies who anashika mguu ya mtoto anamuinamisha chini anamchapa.
Yeah.
Those can be developmental traumas. Sometimes you can find a child amechelewa kuongea, amechukua muda mrefu kuongea, amechukua muda mrefu kutembea. So ako na hiyo trauma ndani yake, imemweka uoga. And a bit of it could be like one child I know, when she started talking, people laughed. And then akazima na hakuongea for a very long time. So they kept thinking that the child is numb, cannot talk, and dumb. But then it was just that thing that to this child, it was a heavy thing. And then there is, I've said chronic, I've said acute, complex, and then that's developmental. And then there is collective trauma. You know, that thing that happens to a whole community.
Yeah.
And then it affects everybody the same way. Say something like the genocide that happened in Rwanda. It could be war. It could be something like an earthquake, again, that happens and hits people near home. The floods, like what happened in Maimahiu the other day, those are things that can cause community trauma. So they can be things that, you know, they happen, but they affect many people at the same time. There's also the kind of trauma that you get by helping people who are in trauma. You go helping them. This can happen to even us professionals. Okay. So you can go helping other people, and then in the process, you get the trauma. There's also interpersonal trauma. You've related with people, the kind of relationship, maybe it was abusive, maybe something happened, like a girl or a young man who is dumped after a long relationship, anaachwa.
Yeah.
Then they develop this trauma and they believe relationships don't work. Or a woman or a man who has been experienced infidelity in marriage and it hits them very hard, so such. So those are the kind of traumas that we go through. So it depends on the time and the length of time and the nature of how it happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe before we progress so much, naweza taka tuangalie, and we state it loudly for the audience, kwamba there is a journey you can walk when you're traumatized.
Yeah.
Na like you get help.
Yes.
It is possible.
True.
Yes, you're traumatized. You have maybe several or one trauma, but in one way or the other you're traumatized.
Yeah.
So there is a way we can walk this journey and get a lasting solution.
Yeah, trauma is painful. Trauma is something that hits you, but it's not a life sentence.
Okay.
It's something that you can come out from. And that is why we are talking about it, so that somebody is aware. Maybe somebody will today hear something and say, oh, so this is my problem.
Yeah.
So it's not a life sentence. It's not something to say. You remember when we did mindset, we said we are not having the fixed mindset of saying, mimi huwa niko tu hivyo. You know, this is me. I'm just like that.
Niko tu.
Niko tu. We are looking into ways of making our lives better. And so trauma is something we can heal from if we are intentional. It's just a wound that is there. All it needs is the right kind of attention and the right kind of care. And it will be given, it will heal. Now, this kind of program brings awareness, because then there is somebody who has trauma Either they are not aware, or the people around them are not aware, so they are making it worse. They are just making it worse. So my faith is that after this, somebody listening to us will even know how to handle a trauma-affected person. Yeah.
You've said it already, but nilikuwa nataka to set straight also the record, kwamba kuna mtu anaweza kuwa traumatized na ajui.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Ako nazo traumas but hajui aziite nini. So ako hapo tu kwa hizo mixture, anajuanga siko sawa but sijui nini mbaya. Itawezekana.
You know, we have said again and again. I think that word sijui utaiweka hapo, Faraja Swift Chat, awareness.
Okay.
Because we have said again and again,
yes,
awareness is the first step. Because there is somebody who doesn't know. And there is this person who knows, but also does not take action. So it's true. You can be there and you don't know. Because you need to put a name to what you're going through. Part of what we do when we work with people is helping them to put a name to what they are going through. Put a name to emotions, put a name to the pain they are going through. And now, from that point of knowing, yes, this is what I'm going through. Have you talked to somebody anakuambia mimi hata sijui? Because of course we'll talk about the effects. One of the effects is it numbing you, making you feel like you don't even understand yourself anymore. So to anyone going through that, know that it's possible to get over it. It's possible to heal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I'm spelling this out for the sake of the audience and all of us.
Yeah.
For example, you've said trauma can start from childhood.
True.
Si lazima tukue mtu mkubwa ndio ukue traumatized. So we can tunaweza sanya trauma from utoto.
Yeah.
Na bado itu affect tukiwa watu wakubwa.
Yes. That's where we talked of developmental. There is something called the ACEs. ACEs is early childhood experiences, which when you go to a professional, they help you to analyze. And from these early childhood experiences, you can find that some of the experiences you went through are the ones defining how you behave and who you are at the moment. So going through them and being aware will help you to know, oh, this one actually stems from that time when we had this house help who used to beat me so hard. When my dad used to come home drunk and kick us, you know, you will start having that awareness, and now you know I can heal, because not everybody is that house help, not everybody is your dad.
Yeah. And now because you've went that journey, kindly, ebu tutembeze kwa hizi causes za trauma. Zile vitu zinatufanya, unashikwa na hiyo trauma. Ebu tuambie ni vitu kama gani?
So there are many things. And we have mentioned a few because we have talked of events. For example, those life-threatening events that happen in our lives. Somebody could have gone through abuse, either as a child, it could be physical, it could be sexual, it could be emotional. A lot of women go through such, and sometimes men also, and it really affects them. It affects how they view the world. It could be things like events like what we talked about, the floods. It could be an earthquake that happens and shook you. It could be things like bullying. Our children are going through a lot of bullying in school. It could be things like even the cyberbullying, the social media bullying, and many things that cause people to have, you know, it's that thing that leaves like a blueprint of pain on your brain. Something that makes you feel like it's too much. This one is too much for me to handle. So when it gets there, and you feel like I really can't handle this is too much for me, then it becomes something that you need to work on and heal from. Yeah.
So, for example, mostly wasichana, I don't know if it happens to men. Wasichana unajua tuna grow and then tukigrow tuna changes zile ziko physical. So labda wewe unanenepa sana, kitu inaitwa body shaming. Can it be a big cause ya trauma kwa mtoto? Because kuna mtoto atagrow ni kafati, mwingine anajua ufai ukwe kafati, mwingine atagrow ni mslenda, watakuita upepo, hata sijui siku hizi wanaitananga majina gani. Kindly talk about body shaming. Inaweza acha trauma gani kwa mtoto?
It reminds me of a time, though I can't say that caused trauma, but it made me think about it. My leg was growing very fast when I was young. So one day, two grown-ups are talking, and they are saying the way when I grow up, sitawahi pata kiatu. Yes. Nitakuwa naenda bata na custom mekiwa na pimwa and it really affected me.
Yeah.
It really affected me. I can't say that caused trauma. It was just that part of me. But yes, that kind of shaming can make a child feel like they don't belong.
Ukimagine ati upimiwe kiatu ndo uvae kiatu.
I remember walking from school and asking God, mbona Mungu ulinionea? Mbona Mungu tu ulinionea, ukapea watu wengine mguu mzuri.
You literally talking.
Yes.
Wow.
And I started thinking of where on my legs I can cut, my feet. Do I cut the fingers, the toes? What do I cut? What can I cut? So I started thinking about it and thinking, I think I should cut a part of my leg.
It can be that serious.
Yes, it was serious. So, you know, when people shame your body, some people, their hair, maybe the way their hair looks, maybe you're kukua slender, then you create these beliefs that you're not good enough, that you don't belong. You know, like there's somebody who told me she actually dropped out of college because she didn't feel like she belonged in her clique of friends. Yes, it was that serious for her. And she felt like she can't take it. And she just left. Yeah. So it can be serious.
It can cost you your whole future.
Yeah.
Because dropping out of college,
luckily,
that's your whole
at
future.
least she went and got something else. The parents were understanding, so they helped her to get something else.
What?
Yeah. And again, let me add something like our police. Did you see this policeman who, during the Gen Z riots, was crying? Yes, there was a police lady. It was a lady. She was crying. She was saying, this is too much. How can we do this? Yani, she's the police, but she's crying.
Yeah.
So even our police, the military people, they go through such kind of trauma. You've gone to war, and then the things that happen there. You know, you've been exposed to adverse things. Yeah. Umesikia mabom kila mahali. Umesikia gunshots kila mahali. Now how it affects you, you reach a point, hata pikipiki ikipita unastuka. You feel like you are threatened. You know, trauma is that place that you get that your body is always alert. You get into fight, flight or freeze. That one in simplified language, it's the form of where your body feels like it should just be defensive. For people who freeze, they can't move. You know, if a fire happens here and I'm a freeze person, nitakuwa tu sitasonga. A flight person, move. Bio. Like you're in marriage and once something happens, all you think of is how can I get out of this? Yeah. And the fighting, very aggressive, very aggressive. So your body has that heightened effect. You feel like you need to protect yourself all the time. You're always on guard. So a person who has gone, for example, to war, and then has experienced war, now they come back to the kawaida world and they are not okay. And sometimes you will see them drinking, sometimes you will see them engage in some coping mechanisms that are not good if they don't seek help, just because they went through something that was not good. So that especially affects people who've gone through war, like now our military people, the police. When it's not always easy, we think like they love the shooting. It doesn't always affect them positive. It doesn't affect them positively.
Yeah.
It has that negative
mark.
Effect. So it marks a negative mark in them. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Tunaongelelea tu hizi vitu za kawaida actually because we want to see a better place in this society. We were tackling the causes of these traumas that we experience. So I'll bring you on board uendele na hizo causes before we move to any other part of that topic.
Yeah, I just add to loss and grief.
Okay.
Someone loses a person they love. It could be a spouse, a parent, someone significant in their lives, and it hits them hard. So that's something that if you don't heal from, it keeps affecting you because it's a traumatic event for you. It could also be observing violence. Like, have you seen these parents who fight in front of their children? Or a parent who, a child who witnessed the parents being killed? Or thieves came to your house, like one Jeffries that is so bad that I had. Thieves came into a house, stole, robbed the house, and instead of just leaving, they poked the ears of a boy. So wakamtoboa the eardrums.
So bad.
Wakamuacha akiwa
so bad.
Now imagine that boy. So, such things. So loss and grief is a heavy one. I've seen it, especially now. I don't know what's happening. There have been so much death. So it's affecting people and also that.
Hi, that is so bad. Yeah. Are people really trained to do this bad or evil things? Do they even plan?
I think, like we said in one of the shows, some people seem to be losing humanity and just doing things that are out of this world.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so bad.
So it was sad because now the boy from hearing overnight became deaf.
Yeah, that is so
bad. He could hear with aids on because it's not an internal problem. It's just a deformity caused. But really, why would
that's
you do
traumatizing.
That?
That's traumatizing.
Yeah.
To that boy, that was too much traumatizing. And now we want to talk about those effects. The effects these traumatic events leave to us, Abby. Like that boy, that was so much. That was so much. Imagine ni kitu ilisha happen na na feel niko nimekaza mishipa already.
Even when I was being told, I could feel it.
Yeah, that is so bad.
I could feel it.
So can we discuss these effects that they leave to us? These events zinatuachia effects kubwa sana. Kindly guide us through the effects.
So I will put them in 4 categories of how they affect us. The first category is how they affect our minds. Now, like this boy could develop a mindset or a belief that maybe men are bad. If men are the ones who did that, a girl can say, if maybe the father did something, men are bad. A boy can say, women are bad. So it affects our belief system, affects how we see ourselves, how we see people, how we see things. So that's an effect to the mind, and it can totally change our mindset. And then there is relationships, and I've seen this a lot in my practice as a coach, where somebody goes through something in a relationship and it really affects them so much that they cannot allow themselves to be who they are, to be themselves in relationships. For example, I was with some men the other day, and they were telling me about their wives who are not as sexually outgoing as they want. Or sometimes you marry someone who holds back. The question is why? So maybe it's something that has gone on in their lives. For example, a girl who has gone through rape may have difficulty opening up sexually to a man. So that can affect relationships. The difficulty in trusting, difficulty in loving again, seeing as if everyone is a threat. So that can affect our relationships. It can affect our bodies. Trauma is stored in our bodies. When something happens, there's a feeling you have. It could be in your head, in your chest, tightness in your chest. It could be in your stomach. Have you experienced that? Maybe something happened, unasikia ile watu wanasema nilisikia
imenikata.
Imenikata. You know, and the body also stores the memory, because the body remembers what you went through. So it stores that memory, and it just makes your body stiff and feeling like I cannot, you know, in that defense mode, like we say. Your body is ever feeling like, I need to defend myself, I need to fight. There is danger, something bad is going to happen. So that, and also affecting how we relate with our environment. Things like nightmares. People have nightmares when they sleep. Like now the one we talked about, war. You're sleeping, you have nightmares, you can't sleep well, sleeplessness, diseases that can come with it. There was this case I read in a book that of a boy who would always have sugar going up, the sugars, when he had anything burst. Kumbe there was a shootout in school. And so how it affected him was it affected the sugars. So that affected him. So even some sicknesses can be, because now in this book they were explaining that the doctors could not understand why anapewa the highest dose possible to bring the sugar down, and it's not going down. And so they started checking what can be the cause. And so they realized anytime kitu inafanya nje, a motorbike, it affects this boy and he goes back. It's like the trauma response in him is activated.
Na hakuwa ameisema wakajua.
Yeah, he doesn't know. You know, it's a boy, a school going boy. So he doesn't know. So luckily in that hospital they were it was a trauma-informed facility. So they had a specialist for that. So when the specialist, you know, when somebody has gone through trauma, triggers, small triggers, like mtu alimkosea alikuwa na ndevu kubwa nyeupe, akiona anaamuka. You know, it could be mtu alikuwa with a bald head, akiona inaamusha hiyo emotion. Hata yeye anashangaa, anasema sijielewi kwa nini huyu mtu akipita hapa huwa anasikia hivi. But akichunguza, arudi nyuma, atapata there is something. There is a connection with something that happened. So those are the effects and that come among others.
Talk to us about someone who wanna feel suicidal.
Yeah, suicide, somebody who feels like
and others go to an extent to attempt.
Like now, a story was told just the other day, maybe you've heard about it, of this boy who went through bullying in school, came and told the parents, I don't want to go back to that school. And the parents said, no, you need to go back, you know, we have to plan ourselves, you know, hata uende upate result za hiyo term ndio tukutafutie nazo shule
nyingine.
School was supposed to be on Monday. On Sunday he hanged himself.
Oh.
So you see now, remember I have said that it's that thing that according to you, you feel like it's too much, I can't handle this. And so it can cause somebody to feel like, no, this is too much for me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, kuna watu wanajitenga tu. Unapitia kitu, then unajiondoa katikati ya watu. Unataka ukae peke. Yani you alienate yourself from people. Unajicreatea your own, unaona ni kama umejicreatea your own safe space. Talk to us about that.
This is isolation, where you feel like you're not safe. Remember, trauma makes you feel like you're not safe. So you isolate yourself, you put yourself away from people, and you just want to be alone. So like, say a person has been sexually abused, and this person just withdraws, wants to be alone, doesn't want to stay with other people, just wants to be alone. They feel like that's where I am safe. I don't want to stay with people. So that's also an effect where you're feeling like, remember we said it takes away the ability to trust. So you're feeling like, how can I trust these people? And sometimes you're feeling like the people will not understand you. So you withdraw from that environment.
Now, for the sake of our viewer, I want us to spell out the signs of people with trauma, ili all of us tujue kuchungana na to be aware that I see this might be the problem. So I want to let our life coach spell out the signs we should look out. Kuanzia kwa ule mtoto mdogo as they come up, na pia sisi watu wakubwa, however big we are, like nikiona hii sign, nijue huyu mtu ana trauma fulani inamsumbua. Kindly walk us through the journey of signs.
You mentioned one, that isolation. Mtu ana kaa peke yake, hataki kukaa na watu. All of a sudden, mtoto amenyamaza na hakuwa hivyo. Amenyamaza, ameenda kwa kona yake. A child who was bubbly, ameenda kando sasa. That's a sign something is wrong. Maybe it's bullying. I remember a mother who was very sad to realize after almost 2 terms that the son was going through bullying. But yeye anamwambia tu, wewe nini mbaya na wewe, unataka kukaa peke yako, mbona? Kumbe mtoto anapitia shule. So that isolation, aggression, like another one now is aggression. Small things, mtu anakuwa triggered, hasira, anakuwa na very adverse emotional reaction. You wonder, this was just a small thing. Why are you reacting like that? But you know, it's that stored memory in the brain, inaruka huko. You're here, but yeye ameruka 5 years ago or 2 months ago where something traumatic happened. We've talked of nightmares. You're sleeping at night, you just have nightmares because your brain is flashing back. It's all stored in your mind. So your brain is having those flashbacks. There's also flashbacks, you just stay like this. And you know, the brain sometimes actually doesn't know the difference between kitambo na sai. Your brain feels like it's happening now. And so it you feel you see this person ni kitu ya kitambo, lakini this person feels like they are going through that pain now, and they react as if it's happening now, and you even be surprised. I mean, your parent died 2 years ago. Why are you behaving as if it has just happened now?
Right now.
Then there is that numbing, where you are in a relationship and your spouse is no longer the same. Sometimes Jeffries, unaguza mtu anastuka, unashindwa ni nini,
na mko tu hapo wawili,
what is going on? Kumbe yeye akikuangalia anakumbuka that abuser in childhood, that person who did something like infidelity. you know, you can, I've seen this especially in women, where a man has dishonored the vows, and so the lady begins to think of it in terms of self-worth. Anaanza kuona kwa hivyo mimi sifai, alienda kutafuta nini kwa huyo. Then in case anamjua, anaanza kufikiria, oh, so ni Jeffries, anakaa hivi. Kwa hivyo anipendi kwa sababu nakaa hivi. I have heard of women who go through that and they lose the courage of even being without clothes in front of their spouses. They lose that confidence completely. So it has those kinds of effects, the things that to us appear normal, but to this person who has gone through a traumatic event, you know, like a child who has experienced parents fighting all the time, and now they are afraid. They fear marriage. They fear that if I go there, something like this will happen. Or you just say something, Naum, the reaction is so heavy, so intense, until you wonder what exactly is going on in you. Sometimes it's physical signs, pains in the body. It could be even what we said about sugars going up, hypertension, stomach pains, chest tightness, and all that. So those could be signs that it's pointing you back to something that is still stored in you, that you may need to look into and heal from.
Suppose mtu alipitia hiyo traumatic event mpaka aka lose self-esteem. Is there a day you will come to gain your own worth again? Is it possible when we walk now this journey?
Yeah, because now, you know, when you go through trauma, it kind of, let me start here. Our brains are here to protect us. Your brain acts like a mother, a protective mother who is there to protect you. So when something happens, your brain kind of changes how it sees things. And so at that point, your brain goes through a certain form of change. There are details now that we can't cover. So the same way it changes, the brain is also plastic. It can also change again. Remember when we talked about mindset, we said it's like a muscle. You can rewire it again. So you go through things like therapy, things like coaching, the breath work we talked about, and different exercises you can be given to rediscover yourself again, to see that no, it didn't, that was just an event. It was not something that was meant to destroy me. It was just an event. And so I cannot tag my whole life, my self-worth and everything on that one event. Sometimes it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park, but it's something that when we go back to, again, another keyword, intentional, when you're intentional about it, you can heal and go back to your better version, and sometimes even realize that some traumas were good for you. They maybe have helped you to get to a better version of you.
Now, nataka tuangalie the common mistakes we do. Because hawa watu wako na hizi trauma wako tu pamoja na sisi. Either in the family, at work, ama shule. Right? So nataka tuangalie the common mistakes huwa tunafanya, tunawakosea hawa watu. Kwa sababu hautamchukulia na ile uzito inafaa. They are there, they have a problem, lakini wewe unaichukulia kama mzaha tu. Anajaribu kukuambia na ni kama umsikii. They are trying to address something, wewe uko tu. So can you kindly highlight the kind of mistakes we do na tunajipata instead ya kusaidia tunaharibu?
Let me start here. The way a human being is wired, we want peace.
Always.
We want peace.
Always.
For example, if you lose your loved one, I will encourage you to heal. But most of the time, it's not for your sake. It's for my sake. because I'm tired of seeing you like that
cry
all the time
and down.
Utanililia mpaka lini? Pona. Oh, I'm not telling you that, and maybe I'm not even aware, but somewhere we are tired. For example, when floods happen, everybody goes there with food, with blankets, and they say tutasimama na nyinyi. How long does it last?
After your blanket utamuona?
Yes, because we are expecting you to heal. We can't continue journeying with you forever.
Yes.
So that is the nature of a human being. Because we are all living our own lives, our own stories. Hakuna siku Jeffries unaamka ukifikiria tu Abi anaendelea aje. It's not practical.
Hata nasahau.
Yeah, you tend to forget.
As much as I want, nitasahau bado one day.
Because you're also going through your own pressures in life. And so somebody who is going through trauma could end up feeling neglected. So we make mistakes because, one, we want them to heal very fast, and we kind of are surprised. Why are they not healing? Yet it's not that practical for them to heal. Maybe it's something like the complex trauma.
Yes.
It has gone on for years, the chronic trauma. How do you expect me to just heal all of a sudden? So that expectation that we have as human beings can be unrealistic, and it can end up hurting them because then they feel people don't understand me. Most of our institutions are not trauma informed, like knowing huyu hivi ana behave in trauma, like a child in school. Oprah Winfrey has written a book together with a psychiatrist, and they are talking about trauma, and it's titled What Happened to You? Because most of the time we ask, what's wrong with you? But the question is not what's wrong with you. The question is what happened to you that changed you to be the person you are today. So in this book, it gives an example of a young man, a boy, who went through a lot of abuse with the father, terrible abuse. So he goes to school and anafukuzwa shule zote. Hasettle kwa shule yote. Afit. So anaenda shule, anatolewa, anapelekwa hizo foster care, anatolewa. So they brought in a specialist.
Nyumbani?
No, in school. So going through it, kumbe, there is a certain teacher who uses a cologne, the same type the father uses. So the moment mwalimu anamkaribia hivi,
anatrigger.
So the teacher was trying to be very kind, lakini mtoto hapana. Because kwake haoni mwalimu, anaona baba yake. And immediately all the flashbacks of the pain the father has taken him through comes back flooding in his mind, and he just has to defend himself. Now the aggression comes in and he fights it. Now luckily for him, this psychiatrist came in and was able to take him through the process, and now he started healing. And so that not being trauma informed, because most of the time we talk about trauma, but we don't even go deeper to know what is this trauma. Do we even understand it? And then, I have said people expecting you to heal very fast, not being trauma informed, sometimes punishing people, like a child. You go home, your child has made a mistake, we unaongeza kiboko, na labda he is going through trauma. So most of the mistake is because we are not aware. We don't know. And so we add a wound to another. So the solution is for us now to create that awareness so that people begin to know, ukiona mtu ana behave hivi, let me not blame them. The question to ask yourself is not what is wrong with you. It is what exactly happened to you, what made you be who you are today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to thank our coach because mimi naelewa. Yani nina learn, and I hope our viewer is learning. Maybe before we tackle any other thing, kindly I want you to give them your social handles. Like mtu akitaka kuendelea huu mwendo na wewe atakupata wapi, kwa nambari gani, so that you can expound, because hapa tunaweza kuwa na limited time, but kuna mahali anaweza kukupata na umuendeleshe hii safari, like aelewe this is what is happening to me.
Yeah, to our viewers, let me say that healing is possible, and you can actually access the healing. So to get me, my social media handles on TikTok, Wellness with Abby, on Facebook, Blessed Abby, or Abby's Holistic Wellness Hub, on YouTube, Coach Blessed Abby, and my phone number 0781 248 284, and we'll walk that journey with you, or link you to someone who can walk the journey with you.
Yes, and that is the most good one, because the agenda is to see everyone in a safe space. That is the agenda. And I want to congratulate our viewer, because I know they are following and they'll want to practice this. Haimaanishi ujiogope ama ujifungie because una trauma. There is room for a proper process mpaka upate healing, right? So however, whatever happened, however it happened, it was not your mistake.
True.
At some point it was not your mistake, and even if it was your mistake, sidhani inafai kuweke kwa hiyo kakuni, kwamba sita iongelelea na sita hii itoa ama sita ijisamehea. Some traumas we have, maybe the mistake was ours or it was not ours. There is a journey we can follow to pate he, and you've been given the number, and also there is a away from her, you've said away from you, there are other people you can refer. So haijalishi mtazamaji wetu ulipitia nini, makosa haikuwa yako, na kama ilikuwa yako bado there is room.
But we also tell them that now the healing is totally your responsibility.
And it's also for your own good. And I want to
so we can't keep blaming the person who hurt us or the events that happened. Now we have to say, I'm taking charge of my life. I need to move on.
Because I also wanted us, we talk about that blame game on the side of the victim now. Najua kunaweza kuwa na hiyo. Watu wanakuelekeza mahali unafaa upone, lakini wewe unasema mbona?
The question is always why me? Why me? Why me? But we need to get to say, it happened to me. And Jeffries, let me say this in closing. One day, if you go through the healing journey, you get to a point and realize whatever happened to me was not just against me, it was actually for me. You reach a point and you actually are grateful that it happened, however terrible it is. Because everything that happens in our lives happens for a reason.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank you, our life coach, because you're making us learn every day, and that is a big up. Continue what you're doing. Mi nitakupea maua yako leo. You're doing a good job. And for me, I appreciate always for your presence on these episodes. I won't take it for granted. I know there is someone who is following and learning, because we receive the responses, nata unaniambianga. So we do it for ourselves and we do it for another person. That is the goal. I want to thank you, our viewer, at this juncture. We want to wrap up this episode. Up to next time, we want to say it is bye-bye.
Bye.